So whatever you, yeah, you go ahead now, Shanta. Whatever you, you take to do what you want to do. Go ahead.
So let me see if I could do a share screen here. Okay. So this is you all see in a PowerPoint on the screen?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, it's
Yes, yes.
Okay. So there's just a section of the first two slides of a PowerPoint I did for this year's Gaura Purnima class. I think the Sunday before I did an overview, then I did just a short recap and spoke about the deliverance of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. So what this first slide does is it gives us the connection between Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Caritamrita. The Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the foundational study. It is known as Gita Upanishad. Sarvopanishado Gopal Nandan Partavasya Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Tam. That in this regard is, if you are essence of is it's milk. So cow represents the entire Veda, the essence, the entire Veda, Bhagavad Gita in the form of the milk unifying the body with milk. I don't know if people may know. Times when people use the local plant, we used to mind recite different.
Just a little question, devotees. Everybody hearing okay?
I hearing them once and he cutting off like,
broken up.
He's cutting off, Prabhu. He's cutting
Okay.
off.
There is something kind of
let me let my just one.
I don't know why it is, Shanta, but it's coming across very broken.
Okay, let me connect my headset and see if that will help the problem. Is it better now?
Oh, I hearing you clearly now.
Anybody else? Is it clearer now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay,
Yes,
maybe it was just a connection
Prabhu.
issue. Maybe it was just a connection issue. Okay. Let me reshare my screen. So long I use Zoom, I'm feeling a bit out of sorts. Okay. So the point I was making is that, in local parlance, the farmer would let the calf drink milk first, and the cow, out of affection for its young, would release its milk, and then the calf would drink, and then the farmer would milk and get the milk. So the same example is being used here. So the Bhagavad Gita, the essence of it is it gives us the foundation of the Vedic literature. It begins from every point, and I often make this point. Any path of the Vedic culture you follow, there's one universal thread that binds it all. And that is, we are not the body, we are the soul. That is the universal thread that binds all manner of Vedic. If you want to go to the heavenly planet, you don't go in this body. If you want to go Vaikuntha, you don't go in this body. You have to get a suitable body, and therefore death is required. And because we are not the body, we are the soul, then the soul acquires a particular body. If we want to get the ultimate goal, that requires becoming devotees. And therefore, the Bhagavad Gita brings us to that point. By the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, listen, I've said many things before, but ultimately, this is what I want. Just abandon anything I ever said to you before. Sarva dharma parityajya, mamekam sharanam vraja, and just love me. That's all. If you love me and you're connected with me in that way, then you don't have to worry about anything. I will take care of you. And therefore he says, Sarva dharman parityajya, mamekam sharanam vraja, mam tvam sarva papibhyo mokshayashyami ma shuchaha. And that is the ending point or the jumping point of the Bhagavad Gita. It takes us from the beginning understanding of spiritual life that we are not this body to the point where we surrender to Krishna completely. And the Srimad Bhagavatam begins with that point. It begins by first defining who the absolute truth is, and then secondly, what is the standard of the literature that we are about to read? Dharma projita kaitavatra paramo nirmatsaranam satam. So where Bhagavad Gita ends off with Sarva Dharma Parityajya, the Srimad Bhagavatam begins with Dharma Praujita Kaitava. Anything that falls short of the standard of surrender to Krishna is rejected within this literature. This is the specific standard of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and why it is considered the cream of the Vedic literature, why it is considered the best of all scriptures, and why it is considered Vaishnavanam Priyam, very dear to the Vaishnavas, because it doesn't deal with anything that falls short of the standard of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Anything that presents something else in connection with pure bhakti is called cheating religion. Another way we might term it is prosperity gospel. You do it to get this, you do it to get that. But with bhakti, we do it whether or not we get. And when we do it in that mood, then the experience is very sublime. So Bhagavatam begins from that point, but it ends with Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam. The last verse of Bhagavatam, 12.13.23, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam, is just chant the holy name. Nama Sankirtanam. Just chant the holy name. That if we chant the holy name, then Sarva Papa Pranashanam. All sinful reactions are destroyed. Pranamam Dukkha Shamana Tam Namami Harim Param. And we get the ultimate goal. So then when we look at Chaitanya Caritamrita, it teaches us how to chant the holy name. And how does it teach us? Through the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. In the Adi Leela 3.20, he says, I will come and I will teach you how to chant this holy name. I will teach you how to do it. You don't have to worry. Apani Ajari Bhakta. I will come and I will teach you how to chant the holy name. And then it demonstrates what happens to us when we chant the holy name. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, especially later on in the Antya Leela, he simply forgot himself. He became so absorbed in the chanting of the holy name that he was just immersed day and night. And for those of you who were here when the Chaitanya Caritamrita was read, the transformations that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrates in his own chanting of the holy name is something that is very heart-wrenching. And sometimes you may when you read Chaitanya Caritamrita, you may tell, do I really want that? He sounds, like a complete madman, which he became. So if you want to get the fruit of the Vedic literature, that is Chaitanya Caritamrita, you have to be very careful. Like there's a very interesting incident that took place. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he asked his spiritual master, what's that verse? Kiba mantra gosai, kiba tara bhal, japite japite mantra hoilo pagal. Yeah. Kiba mantri dila gosai. Oh, my dear spiritual master Ishvara Puri, what is the nature of this mantra you have given me? Kiba tara bhal. What is the strength of this mantra? What is the potency of this mantra? And Jopite, Jopite, as I'm chanting and chanting this mantra you have given me, Koilo Pagal, I feel myself becoming mad. And Ishwara Puri responds to him, your chanting is very good. And Ishwara Puri, he says to him that the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is this. And he quotes this verse from Chaitanya Caritamrita. I don't know, Raj, if you could help me with the Sanskrit. Unmadhava Nritya Loka Bhaya. That verse. How does that?
Evam Vrataksva
Evam Priyanama Kirtaya. Yeah, that verse. And he says that when one chants the holy name of the Lord, he completely forgets himself. He becomes completely indifferent to the opinion of others. Evam Vrata Swapriyanama Kirtaya. He dances, Unmadhava. He becomes mad, like a madman. And Ishwar Puri tells Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that this is the essence of Bhagavatam. To become completely absorbed in the holy name and to lose oneself in one's relationship with Krishna. One becomes completely indifferent to the opinion of others. The connection between the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita can be seen in another way. Bhagavad Gita are the words of Krishna, giving the basic philosophy of Krishna consciousness. Srimad Bhagavatam describes the activities of Krishna and Krishna's devotees through various interactions and pastimes that the Lord shares with those devotees, and many, many different varieties of relationships. And Chaitanya Charitamrita goes beyond that. It gives us entry into the most private of all places, which is what is going on in the mind of God. Like sometimes people they get concerned whether God has form or whether God has no form, whatever you have you. But Chaitanya Charitamrita doesn't dabble in that. This is you want to know, forget whether God has form or not. We are telling you what is going on in God's mind. How does God think? How does God behave? And what does God feel in the depth of his soul, in the depth of his consciousness, to put it in that way? And that is what Chaitanya Charitamrita is opening the window for us to enter into the thought pattern of God. And what I find, like, I'll tell you quite honestly, Chaitanya Charitamrita is one of my favorite books. There's chapters I will read in Chaitanya Charitamrita repeatedly, like certain pastimes. I'll just repeatedly read it. And like sometimes I'll read it from Chaitanya Charitamrita, then I'll hop over to Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'll see if, the same pastime is described in some way in some other Chaitanya literature, like that, because it is so endearing. Like just to see how the Lord thinks. I'll give an example. One of the pastimes that takes place in the Madhya Lila is not in the Madhya Lila. Is it? Yes, in the Madhya Lila. Madhya Khand, rather, of Chaitanya Bhagavat, of Vrindavan Das Thakur, is generally Lord Chaitanya didn't want anybody to glorify him as the Lord. He was very strict about that. When somebody would glorify him as the Supreme, he would cover his ears and say, Vishnu, Vishnu, this is an offense. A living entity can never become God. But one day he becomes so ecstatic, he invited the devotees to worship him. He called different devotees, begin the Abhishek, worship me and chant this song and so many things. And for many, many hours non-stop, for how much, I forget how many hours, like a lot of hours. Sat Praharya, 21 hours or something like that. Sat Prahar, 7 by 3 hours. For 21 hours non-stop, the Lord displayed his ecstatic symptoms as being the Lord. And within that, he was describing how he was with all of his devotees, whether they knew it or not, even before his appearance. And one of the examples he gives is with Haridas Thakur. With Haridas Thakur, one time the Hindus had created a plot against Haridas Thakur, and they had informed on the Muslims that he's ruining Hinduism and he is originally a Muslim, so you have to do something. So they took the stance that they would kill him. They would beat him in 21 marketplaces to make an example of him. And after a few marketplaces, generally, the beating was so severe that the person would die. And this Qazi wanted Haridas to be beaten in practically all the marketplaces under his jurisdiction, just to set an example. Just to set an example, you know. And Haridas Thakur was being beaten, and he was not dying. And then finally, the guards who were beating Haridas, they became concerned that if he did not die, then they would have to pay the price for him not dying. And Haridas Thakur felt compassion in his heart, and he withdrew his consciousness within himself, and he was as if dead. And they threw him in the Ganga, let his body be washed away because he's not fit for burial. Because according to Muslim rites, if he's buried, then he may attain higher destination. If he's buried, because he was born a Muslim. So he didn't want that. So he went away and then he just manifested again his consciousness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was describing, he said this happened before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Haridas, he said, Haridas, do you remember when these Muslims were mercilessly beating you in all these marketplaces? At that time, I manifested myself with my Sudarshan disc. I was so infuriated. My intention was to kill all the Muslims who were abusing you and torturing you. But your prayer for them and your compassion towards them was so overwhelming that my Sudarshan disc could not act. But me not being able to bear seeing you beaten like that, seeing your body abused in that manner, I covered your body with mines. And therefore, I took those beatings myself to protect you because of your compassion for these people who were themselves torturing you. And the Lord turned his back and revealed and removed his chadar and revealed many markings that were left there by that beating he took on behalf of Haridas Thakur. And the way the Lord, deals with his mother, when he takes sannyas in the beginning of the Antya Lila, he tells her, I don't know what I did, my dear mother. I think some deliriousness or madness had overtaken me. If you want, I will give up sannyas and come back home with you. And he means it. He's not just saying this as a platitude. He's not just saying this to give words of comfort to his mother. He means it. So when we read Chaitanya Caritamrita, it gives us an insight into the mind of God, how personal he is, the personal relationship we can experience by connecting in a very deep way. So as we read Chaitanya Caritamrita, not just Chaitanya Caritamrita, but as we read Bhagavad Gita, as we read Srimad Bhagavatam, as we read Ramayana, as we read whatever literature, the idea of it is not that we should get through the book, because it's certainly a very admirable accomplishment when we complete literatures. But even deeper than that, we should allow the book to get through to us. Not just that I should get through the book, but the book should get through to me. It should enter within our heart. It should stir something in our consciousness that drives us to do better, to be a better example, to be more deeply connected to the Lord, to be more deeply connected to the process, to be more deeply connected to the devotees, only with whom we can share this type of association. So I know I overstepped by quite a few minutes there, Raj. So I don't know.
That's all right, Shanta. No problem. You do as you. That's all right. You got it.
Yeah. So what to do? Go to the next slide, or just to give an overview of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, I'll just skip this verse. Okay, so the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he appeared in this. Okay, good. He appeared in 1486 and spent 48 years on this planet. The first part of his Leela is called Adi Leela, which is the first 24 years of his life. The next 24 years is called the Shesha Leela, or the later part, or the ending part of his life. In the Adi Leela, that is up until his sannyas. And the Shesha Leela is from the taking of sannyas to his disappearance from our mortal vision. So the Adi Leela is literally the Adi Leela. The Shesha Leela is divided into two sections, which is the Madhya Leela and the Antya Leela. The Madhya Leela, which is incidentally the largest section of the Chaitanya Caritamrita, comprising 25 chapters, deals with what happened after the Lord took sannyas, being rerouted to the house of Advaitacharya and so on. It deals with his travels throughout South India, his travels to Vrindavan, and his meeting and having discussions with Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Ramananda Roy, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and other small conversations he would have had during his travels. After those 6 years, the Lord remains continuously in Jagannath Puri. He stays in Jagannath Puri from his 30th to his 48th year. The Antya Leela can be further divided into two parts. There's the first 6 years of his Antya Leela, where he primarily associates with different devotees, giving different instructions, giving different insights into how we can grow in a deeper way in our own Krishna consciousness through the instructions he gives to various devotees. And finally, from his 36th year to his 40th year, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes deeper and deeper and deeper into the mood of Srimati Radharani and enters into a state of transcendental madness in love for Krishna. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives us access to that through the Chaitanya Caritamrita. So this is a basic overview, a breakdown of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life. I'll tell you one thing. If you remember these slides here, this slide and the previous slide, for many, many years to come, you could give any Gaura Purnima class. If somebody just calls you up to say, so this is what they say sometimes, these influencers, when they do their YouTube videos and so they would say, this is a pro tip. If you remember the last slide and this slide, and I think it is being recorded so you could see it, you could give any Gaura Purnima for many, many years to come. So there's a little secret, like sometimes if somebody calls me like randomly just to give us a little Chaitanya Caritamrita class, this is an easy go-to. This is an easy go-to. One thing I like to give credit where credit is due. This style of studying Chaitanya Caritamrita in terms of its overview, and this slide largely, like this is perhaps I made some small editing changes to it, but this slide basically comes from Swayam Bhagwan Keshava Maharaj. Many, many years ago in 2003, 2004, we studied together in Bhaktivedanta Mana. We were in the same batch and we maintained that friendship throughout the years. So when I develop material for my study and classes, I share with him, and vice versa, he shares with me. So he wrote one book which is available on his website, tattva.co.uk, or you could just search for SB Keshava Swami. And you could actually download a book that he wrote that summarizes the entire Chaitanya Charitamrita, known as CC Compact. And it's a free PDF download, and you could find that. I'll see if I could find it after let me just end the slideshow, and while I'm speaking, I'll see if I could find it quickly and put a download link in the chat. So that basically is what I had to say on that. one more thing, like interestingly enough, what I found, like in reading Bhagavatam, like another connection that isn't highlighted in the thing, but this is my own. So this is my own purport, Shanta Vigraha purport, if you want to call it that. That the Bhagavatam, from the very beginning to the very end, it extols the glories of chanting the holy name. And the 14th verse of the first canto, in when the sages headed by Shaunaka asking questions, the Sutta Goswami, one of the verses they say is Apana Samsritim Ghoram Yan Nama Vivasho Granan Tata Sadyo Vimuchyeta Yad Bibheti Swayam Bhayam. That living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be immediately freed, even by unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna, which is feared by fear personified. So, an indication is given here that the holy name of Krishna is so powerful, even when chanted unconsciously, we become freed from any variety of fear. So, that is the beginning of Bhagavatam. Um, in the uh, middle of Bhagavatam, we find the pastime of Ajamil. The pastime of Ajamil is such that um, is such that it highlights the importance of chanting the holy name of the Lord. There's a very beautiful verse. Saktan mana Krishna padara vindayor niveshitam tat guna ragi ye iha. That do not fully realize persons who have even once surrendered unto his lotus feet and who have become attracted to his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. They say even once surrendered, even once chanted, they become free from all sinful reactions and so on. They say even in dreams, such surrendered souls do not see Yamraj or his order carriers who are equipped with the ropes, the Yamapasha, to bind the sinful. So in the middle of Bhagavatam, there's glorification of the holy name. And as the verse indicated in the end of Bhagavatam, the last verse, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam. So Bhagavatam, it gives us insight or indication that we should chant the holy name of the Lord. And Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see that, that is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita completely. So I think I have the link here. Yeah, so I found the link. Let me just share it in the chat. And you can download the book yourself. Okay, so when you open that page, the link is not explicit. You just have to read a little bit down, and there's something that says download CC Compact complete version by clicking here. So just right click and click save as. When you right click and download linked file as or something like that on the clicking here. So you can have that and it will help you as you are going through Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's a very, very useful resource that was prepared by Keshav. It's very, very good when it comes to these kind of very, very thoughtful, very, very surrendered to the holy name. Amazing, amazing, amazing person. So I think that is what I have to say on that. Rajarshi Prabhu, I don't know.
Thanks very much for the wonderful presentation, and I think that's whet the appetite of the devotees as we proceed. So, yeah, devotees, we see it as devotional service all the way, and yeah. So, okay, Shanta, thanks so much, and we will
So what you could do,
continue.
Raj, like, I mean, with the Chaitanya Charitamrita, if any specific questions come up and you want me to come on just to clarify, because this is how my time is like normally. This time I kind of come away from something. I had to go and deal with something with children there now, with homework, what kind of crazy this. So the timings just be a bit off for me, like to really log on. But if I know in advance, I could hop on for a little questions that come up, like you could just make a note of it, and I could come on and address that at some point
Yeah,
in time, or
yeah,
any
sure.
questions you could.
Yeah, sure. We'll take advantage of that. We'll anything, we will, check on you.
All right, thanks. Haribol,
Jai,
Hare Krishna,
Jai Haribol. Thanks so much again. Yeah, Haribol.
Haribol.
Okay, Damodar Prabhu. So we will go to the Adi Leela, and I don't know. Um, I didn't really check through to see whether there is preface, introduction, or whatever. So as you bring that up, Damodar Prabhu, we'll decide on the beginning course when you bring it up.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, it is on the screen right now. Are you all seeing it?
You might want to open some of these things, see what they
Okay.
like, how long they are, and things like that.
Okay, so this part, this is the introduction, and the introduction, seems to be lengthy.
Why don't we read it? Why don't we read it? It may,
Yeah.
it's first day. Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll
Okay.
share though. We'll share the reading though. Devotees could read small portions. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Yes, like we normally do, devotees.
Yes.
We can begin. Since I'm on the top, I can start.
Let me just officially say the prayers, although we started the class already. But normally we would do like this. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna. Yeah, you could go ahead, Damodar.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So this is the introduction to Sri Chaitanya Caritamrita Adi Leela introduction. Originally delivered as 5 morning lectures on the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the authoritative biography of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, before the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, New York City, April 10th to the 14th, 1967. The word Chaitanya means living force. Charita means character. And Amrita means immortal. As living entities, we can move, but a table cannot because it does not possess living force. Movement and activity may be considered signs or symptoms of the living force. Indeed, it may be said that there can be no activity without the living force. Although the living force is present in the material condition, this condition is not Amrita, immortal. The words Chaitanya Charitamrita then may be translated as the character of the living force in immortality. Okay, Hare Krishna, I can stop there. The next person can continue. Mother Deepa, is it you?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
But how is this living force displayed immortality? It is not displayed by man or any other creature in this material universe, for none of us are immortal in these bodies. We possess the living force, we perform activities, and we are immortal by our nature and constitution. But the material condition into which we have been put does not allow our immortality to be displayed. It is stated in the Katha Upanishad that eternality and the living force belong to both ourselves and God. Although this is true in that both God and ourselves are immortal, there is a difference. As living entities, we perform many activities, but we have a tendency to fall down into material nature. God has no such tendency. Being all powerful, he never comes under the control of material nature. Indeed, material nature is but one display of his inconceivable energies. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. An analogy will help us understand the distinction between ourselves and God. From the ground, we may see only clouds in the sky, but if we fly above the clouds, we can see the sun shining. From the sky, skyscrapers and cities. From the sky, skyscrapers and cities seem very tiny. Similarly, from God's position, this entire material creation is insignificant. The tendency of the living entity is to come down from the heights where everything can be seen in perspective. God, however, does not have this tendency. The Supreme Lord is not subject to fall down into illusion, Maya, any more than the sun is subject to fall beneath the clouds. Impersonalist philosophers, Mayavadis, maintain that both the living entity and God himself are under the control of Maya when they come into the material world. This is the falsest falsity of their philosophy. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, fallacy, mistake of their philosophy. Hare Krishna. Okay, who's next? Avinash Prabhu, are you ready?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should therefore not be considered one of us. He is Krishna himself, the supreme living entity, and as such, he never comes under the cloud of Maya. Krishna, his expansions, and even his higher devotees never fall into the clutches of illusion. Lord Chaitanya came to the earth simply to preach Krishna Bhakti, love of Krishna. In other words, he is Lord Krishna himself, teaching living entities the proper way to approach Krishna. He is like a teacher who, seeing a student doing poorly, takes up a pencil and writes, saying, "Do it like this, ABC." From this, one should not foolishly think that the teacher is learning his ABC. Similarly, although Lord Chaitanya appears in the guise of a devotee, We should not
That
fool
word is that word is guise,
guys.
Yeah,
Lord
in the guise of a devotee, in the role of a devotee.
in the guise, okay, thank you, Prabhu, of a devotee. We should not foolishly think he is an ordinary human being. We should always remember that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, God Himself, teaching us how to become Krishna conscious, and we must study Him in that light. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita 18.66, Lord Krishna says, "Give up all your nonsense and surrender to me. I will protect you." We say, surrender, but I have so many responsibilities. And Maya illusion says to us, do not do it, or you will be out of my clutches. Just stay in my clutches and I'll kick you. It is a fact that we are constantly being kicked by Maya, just as the male ass is kicked in the face by the she-ass when he comes for sex. Similarly, cats and dogs are always fighting and winning when they have sex. Even an elephant in the jungle is caught by the use of a trained she-elephant who leads him into a pit. We should learn by observing these tricks of nature. Maya has many ways to entrap us, and the strongest shackle is the female. Of course, in actuality, we are neither male nor female. For these designation refer only to the outer dress, the body. We are all actually Krishna's servants, but in conditioned life, we are shackled by iron chain in the form of beautiful women. Thus, every male is bound by sex, and therefore one should wish to gain liberation from the material clutches, must first learn to control the sex urge. Unrestricted sex put on fully in the clutches of illusion. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu officially renounced this illusion at the age of 24, although his wife was 16 and his mother 70, and he was the only male in the family. Although he was a Brahmana and was not rich, he took sannyasa, the renounced order of life, and thus extricated himself from family entanglement. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, devotees. If we wish to become fully Krishna conscious, we have to give up the shackles of Maya. Or if we remain with Maya, we should live in such a way that we will not be subject to illusion, as did the many householders among Lord Chaitanya's closest devotees. With his followers in the renounced order, however, Lord Chaitanya was very strict. He even banished Junior Haridasa, an important Kirtan leader, for glancing lustfully at a woman. The Lord told him, "You are living with me in the renounced order, and yet you are looking at a woman with lust?" Other devotees of the Lord had appealed to him to forgive Haridas, but he replied, "All of you can forgive him and live with him. I shall live alone." On the other hand, when the Lord learned that the wife of one of his household devotees was pregnant, he asked that the baby be given a certain auspicious name. So while the Lord approved of householders having regulated sex, he was like a thunderbolt with those in the renounced order who tried to cheat by the method known as drinking water underwater while bathing on a fast day. In other words, he tolerated no hypocrisy among his followers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. From the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we learn how Lord Chaitanya taught people to break the shackles of Maya and become immortal. Thus, as mentioned above, the title may be properly translated as the character of the living force in immortality. The supreme living force is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is also the supreme entity. There are innumerable living entities, and all of them are individuals. This is very easy to understand. We are all individual in our thoughts and desires, and the Supreme Lord is also an individual person. He is different, though, in that he is the leader, the one whom no one can excel. Among the minute living entities, one being can excel another in one capacity or another. Like each of these living entities, the Lord is an individual, but he is different in that he is the supreme individual. God is also infallible, and thus in the Bhagavad Gita, he is addressed as Achyuta, which means he who never falls down. His name is appropriate because in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna falls into illusion, but Krishna does not. Krishna himself reveals his infallibility when he says to Arjuna, "When I appear in this world, I do so by my own internal potency." Bhagavad Gita 4:6. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thus, we should not think that Krishna is overpowered by material potency when he is in the material world. Neither Krishna nor his incarnation ever come under the control of material nature. They are totally free. Indeed, in Srimad Bhagavatam, one who has a godly nature is actually defined as one who is not affected by the modes of material nature, although in material nature. If even a devotee can attain this freedom, then what to speak of the Supreme Lord? The real question is, how can we remain unpolluted by material contamination while in the material world? Srila Rupa Goswami explains that we can remain uncontaminated while in the world if we simply make it our ambition to serve Krishna. One may then just justifiably ask, how can I serve? It is not simply a matter of meditation, which is just an activity of the mind, but of performing practical work for Krishna. In such work, we should leave no resource unused. Whatever is there, whatever we have, should be used for Krishna. We can use everything: typewriters, automobiles, airplanes, missiles. If we simply speak to people about Krishna consciousness, we are also rendering service. I think I'll end there. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Who is after Pavan?
Like somebody read this part of the CC and they using the missiles they said are approved in this book or what?
Oh, Prabhu. Vidura Prabhu, are you able to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. I
Hare Krishna.
get it. Yeah. Thanks. If our mind, senses, speech, money, and energies are thus engaged in the service of Krishna, then we are no longer in material nature. By virtue of spiritual consciousness or Krishna consciousness, we transcend the platform of material nature. It is a fact that Krishna, his expansions, and his devotees, that is, those who work for him, are not in material nature. Although people with a poor fund of knowledge think that they are. I'll read a little more. The Chaitanya Charitamrita teaches that the spirit soul is immortal and that our activities in the spiritual world are also immortal. The Mayavadis, who hold the view that the Absolute is impersonal and formless, contend that a realized soul has no need to talk, but the Vaishnavas, devotees of Krishna, contend that when one reaches the stage of realization, he really begins to talk. He really begins to talk. Previously, we only talked of nonsense. The Vaishnava says, now let us begin our real talk, talks of Krishna, in support of their view that the self-realized remains silent. The Mayavadis are fond of using the example of the water pot, maintaining that when a pot is not filled with water, it makes a sound. But when it is filled, it makes no sound. But we water pots, Hare Krishna. I'll stop here, Prabhu. I don't know how long it have again.
It didn't have much again, Prabhu. Just a couple more sentences. Finish it off now.
Okay, no problem. How can we be compared to them? A good analogy utilizes as many similarities between two objects as possible. Somebody ought to be muted. A water pot is not an active living force, but we are ever silent. Meditation may be adequate for a water pot, but not for us. Indeed, when a devotee realizes how much he has to say about Krishna, 24 hours in a day are not sufficient. It is the fool who is celebrated as long as he does not speak. For when he breaks his silence, his lack of knowledge is exposed. The Chaitanya Charitamrita show that there are many wonderful things to discover by glorifying the Supreme. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pavan Prabhu, you could mute your mic, please. Pavan, mute your mic, please.
In the beginning of Chaitanya Caritamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes, I offer my respects to my spiritual masters. He uses the plural here to indicate the disciplic succession. He offers obeisances not to his spiritual master alone, but to the whole parampara, the chain of disciplic succession. beginning with Lord Krishna himself. Thus, the author addresses the Guru in the plural to show the highest respect for all his predecessor spiritual masters. After offering obeisances to the disciplic succession, the author pays obeisances to all other devotees, to the Lord himself, to his incarnations, to the expansions of Godhead, and to the manifestation of Krishna's internal energy. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, sometimes called Krishna Chaitanya, is the embodiment of all of these. He is God, Guru, devotee, incarnation, internal energy, and expansion of God. As for his associate Nityananda, he's the first expansion of God as Advaita. He's an incarnation as Garadhar. He is the internal potency, and as Srivas, he's a marginal living entity in the role of a devotee. Thus, Krishna should not be thought of as being alone, but should be considered as eternally existing with all his manifestations. As described by Ramanujacharya in the Vishishta Dvaita philosophy, God's energies, expansions, and incarnations are considered to be oneness in diversity. In other words, God is not separate from all of these. Everything together is God.
I think Angamaraj said he is available for reading.
Hare Krishna, sir. Thank you so much, all with your family devotees. Actually, the Chaitanya Caritamrita is not intended for the novice, for it is the postgraduate.
Novice is a beginner. Novice.
The novice. I'll read over that. Actually, the Chaitanya Caritamrita is not intended for the novice, for it is the postgraduate study of spiritual knowledge. Ideally, one begins with the Bhagavad Gita and advances through Srimad Bhagavatam to the Chaitanya Caritamrita. Although all these great scriptures are on the same absolute level, for the sake of comparative study, the Charitamrita is considered to be on the highest platform. Every verse in it is perfectly composed. In the second verse of the Chaitanya Caritamrita, the author offers his obeisances to Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda. He compares them to the sun and the moon because they dissipate the darkness of the material world. In this instance, the sun and the moon have risen together. In the Western world, where the glories of Lord Chaitanya are relatively unknown, one may inquire, who is Krishna Chaitanya? The author of the Chaitanya Caritamrita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj, answers that question in the third verse of his book. Generally, in the Upanishads and the Supreme Absolute Truth is described in an impersonal way, but the personal aspect of the Absolute Truth is mentioned in the Upanishad, where we find the following verses. Thank you so much, Saru. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham tatvam pushana pavrinu satyadharmaya drishtaye. O my Lord, sustainer of all that lives, your real face is covered by your dazzling effulgence. Kindly remove that covering and exhibit yourself to your pure devotee. Sri Upanishad 15. The impersonalists do not have the power to go beyond the effulgence of God and arrive at the personality of Godhead, from whom this effulgence is emanating. The Upanishad is a hymn to that personality of Godhead. It is not that the impersonal Brahman is denied. It is also described, but that Brahman is revealed to be the glaring effulgence of the body of Lord Krishna. And in the Chaitanya Caritamrita, we learn that Lord Chaitanya is Krishna himself. In other words, Sri Krishna Chaitanya is the basis of the impersonal Brahman, the Paramatma or Super Soul who is present within the heart of every living entity and within every atom of the universe, is but a partial representation of Lord Chaitanya. Therefore, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, being the basis of both Brahman and the all-pervading Paramatma as well, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As such, he is full in six opulences: wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. In short, we should know that he is Krishna, God, and that nothing is equal to or greater than him. There is nothing superior to be conceived. He is the supreme person. Hare Krishna. One thing, that word, just hold it there. God, and that nothing is equal to or greater than him. Anybody know what is the Sanskrit word for God that mean nothing is equal to or greater than him? Anybody know that?
Is it Sarva Karmanam Karanam something like that?
No. So you could write it down now in your notebook. The Sanskrit word for nothing is equal to God or greater than him is asamurdhva. Asamurdhva. Sama mean equal and urdhva means above. So there's nothing equal to him or above him. Asamurdhva. Asama urdhva. Nothing is equal to him. Nothing is above him. Asamurdhva. Hare Krishna. Okay, so Damodar Prabhu, how the reading looks in terms of how, you want to just kind of check out how plenty, or, whether we leaving some for another day and, that kind of thing.
Yes,
You want
Prabhu.
to...
We are just about quarter way through this introduction, so we wouldn't finish it tonight for sure.
Great. Okay.
Yeah.
So the devotees, we are not under any pressure. This is nice reading. This is, we're getting nice information. Hopefully everybody is relating to it. So we're not in any hurry. So you could take note of the position that we have reached. We will conclude our reading for tonight here. Well, hopefully everybody read, right? Is there anybody who came later for any reason didn't read? Right. So one thing that sort of came to my mind as we were going along about Krishnadas Kaviraj's, what he wrote and this and that and so on. I don't know. I mean, it's all devotees in this class, but sometimes somebody may question the authority or the authenticity of this work, this Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, I mean, what Shanta presented and what we had been reading, there's Gita with all the basic philosophy of the scriptures. Then there is, Bhagavatam, which is described as, graduate study, and Chaitanya Charitamrita is described as the topmost, as postgraduate study. Damodar Prabhu, you just want to explain the concept of graduate and postgraduate in terms of, education, at the university attainment. You want to just explain the relation of, what is graduate and postgraduate, because many people in class, we are not familiar with, so.
You can think of it like you can get a degree in engineering, a degree in science, computer science, any basic bachelor's degree. But then beyond that degree, you go to graduate studies. You get a master's, which is more intense, a more focused study now. A bachelor's is just general, to provide, basic understanding of the field and many different topics. But graduate is more focused, in a specialized area. A master's in this, a master's in that. And beyond the master's, then you go to postgraduate, which is now very specialized in terms of a deeper understanding of that particular discipline. So, postgraduate means that it's the highest level, that you are beyond the master's now when you get a doctorate. And some go on to get a postdoctorate, do even further in-depth studies. So when we think of postgraduate studies, it means that this is now that you have understood the basics. You have your bachelor's degree. You have obtained a more in-depth knowledge by graduate studies, and the postgraduate studies now you are getting into the detail, intricacies, and a deeper understanding of the discipline that you are pursuing. I don't know if that's helpful in terms of
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks. So devotees, in terms of authority, it's important that we have faith in persons and so on in this disciplic succession. So if Krishnadas Kaviraj is the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, if the scripture is being described as the most elevated, then, that has to automatically say that the empowered person who wrote the book, we have to understand that he is not a soul subjected to the defects of a human being, but we have to have faith and empowerment. And in the course of our part-time reading, maybe the appearance of Lord Nityananda, we have previously read about the empowerment and Lord Nityananda blessing, Krishnadas Kaviraj, to go to Vrindavan, and there you shall attain all things. Anybody remember from our reading on the appearance of Lord Nityananda in the past years covering this topic, the empowerment of Krishna asked Kaviraj Goswami. Anybody remember that? Nobody remember. Nobody's saying anything. So whether you remember or you don't remember, I am speaking about, Krishnadas Kaviraj being empowered. We are talking about God here. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Krishnadas Kaviraj, the author of Chaitanya Caritamrita. He personally, Lord Nityananda, appeared to him and directed him to go to Vrindavan. He was old, 88 years old, and he was directed to go to Vrindavan. And there, with the blessings, the mercy of Nityananda, he compiled this work. So we shouldn't think that, it's important that we have faith in the authenticity, the contents of Chaitanya Charitamrita. As we go through Madhya Lila, you will see that it contains the essence of Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Vishnu Puran. The Chaitanya Charitamrita consists, like Lord Chaitanya's teaching to different personalities, there would be quotations to support, points that is being made. If God is being described, then the Lord will be quoting example from Vishnu Puran, like, Ekaiva para Vishnu Sarva Vyapina Sangsaya, how God is, although he is one, like Ekadesha Stitas Agni, like a fire, though situated in one place, diffuses its heat and light. So the essence of all over is quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's not like I'm saying that in itself is the topmost. The topmost is Lord Chaitanya displaying higher levels of not just knowledge, but rasa, the tasting of mellows and, perfection in chanting the holy names of the Lord. So, so basic knowledge, but then the demonstration of, the person who lived that knowledge. Remember, it's the Lord himself teaching by example. We read in the introduction about the teacher writing ABC to help the student to understand. So that's the position. God is demonstrating the perfection of the execution of bhakti. So that's why this is the topmost thing. Yeah, Gita is teaching great things, but when the Lord himself is demonstrating the practice and displaying the symptoms, that is the topmost thing. So that's just a, few thoughts on it. Hare Krishna. So if we have some points for discussion, we could discuss, and we could get in the mood with some Chaitanya bhajans. So anybody have questions, any points for discussion, reflections on the reading?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Krishna Prabhu. Not so much on the reading, but I was reflecting on that question that you asked about, this the Chaitanya Caritamrita. It's the postgraduate study, and how to conceive of that. And one thing I forgot to mention is that with a postgraduate means that if one is pursuing, or one has now come to the stage of postgraduate studies, then it is expected that this person has already been through the lower levels. Just as it will not be feasible to teach a little child calculus if the child has not understood, basic arithmetic. Similarly, with postgraduate studies, the expectation is that one has now, understood some of the important, foundational concepts, and in this context here, foundational teachings of Bhagavad Gita, foundational understanding of Bhagavatam, so that with postgraduate studies, that's the expectation that now you can absorb and deal with this subject matter because you have an understanding of the previous lower levels. Hare Krishna. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And to that point, as you mentioned, it really was. It helped me to understand that yes, that we should not, because the Lord Chaitanya came and he's Krishna himself, that how we should conceive of him, and that analogy of, yes, if the teacher is showing you how to do A, B, C, it's not that the teacher doesn't know, but he is just doing that to help us to understand. So, to conceive of the Lord, he's not, an acting ordinary, therefore we have to consider him ordinary. No, he's doing that, so that he can show us how to engage in and how to chant or how to do this, like a teacher will do, A, B, C. Not that he's learning that, but he's showing us how to do it. I thought that was interesting. Hare Krishna, very helpful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, the slide, I can't say how much you were looking at, but when Shanta was making the presentation, there was this slide that was showing you the position of the Gita. Now, Prabhupada always speak about this evolution among the scriptures. There's the Gita that contains all the foundational and the basic teachings. And then there is the Bhagavatam. And I mean, I have that that slide that that is from the book, the CC Compact, and I happen to have that book. So that slide is there with the breakdown of the contents of each thing, each one of the book and their contents, what the Bhagavatam has, and then the Chaitanya Caritamrita. So yeah, that point Damodara Prabhu made, you should know that when you are reading Chaitanya Caritamrita, everything in Gita is there. Everything in Bhagavatam and the Bhagavatam conclusion is there. And you're getting in this now, the highest, in that the Lord is demonstrating. If the Bhagavatam is saying that Nam, and Shanta made that point, all over the Bhagavatam, from first canto, Apanak Sangsritam Goram Yadnam Vivasho Grinam, living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death cannot once be freed even by unconsciously chanting the name of Krishna, which is Swayam Bhayam, which is feared by fear personified. So the Bhagavatam displays or described from first canto, he described middle of the Bhagavatam, the Ajamil pastime, and then the Bhagavatam end, Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is chanting the holy name in perfection. Shikshastaka is towards the end of the Chaitanya Caritamrita. The description of Shikshastaka, the evolution of chanting goes to that highest mode. Ashlisha Vapadaratam Pinashtumam. I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so. Whether he embrace me, trample me, he remains my worshipful Lord unconditionally. So you're passing all those things. Yugaitam nimishena chakshusha. You know, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more, feeling separation. So really, it's a high display. The knowledge is there in the other scriptures, but the Lord Himself is demonstrating the highest display of devotion. So that's the idea. Hare Krishna. Anybody have other reflections, comments, anything?
Hare Krishna. So, yeah, sorry, Prabhu. One reflection here. In our reading, this point caught my attention to the Mayavadis. Their highest realization is that, when you become self-realized, you become silent. But for a devotee, when you become, realized, that's the time they began to, to talk and chant and, and to speak as much as possible, not silent no more, but chanting in Krishna name, continuously, which I've never heard that distinction between the Mayavadis and, and the devotees before. The highest perfection for Mayavadis to become silent, the totally opposite.
Yeah, so that is the thing what Ishvara Puri said, that the Bhagavatam about the holy name, the perfection is Evam Vratak Swapriya Nama Kirtya. When the holy name becomes dear to one, then he laughs, he chants, he does different things. Evam Vratakswa Priya Nama Kirtya Jatanuraga Chitta Ucha Hasati Roditi Rauti Gayanti Unmadavan Nrityati dances. Loka Bahya means he is indifferent to public opinion. So Ishvara Puri, he comments on the perfection of chanting is when a person come to that stage. He don't care. He laugh, he dances. It's like Prahlad. Hala means bliss. Prahlad is a person who will just bliss off. Prahlad will just by himself, just, chant and dance, Yeah, so yeah, this thing, this comparison you're reflecting on the Mayavadis, them just get silent. Them just get silent when they come advance, and the devotees. Well, you have a nice perspective in that work by Bhaktivinoda called Jaiva Dharma. It always kind of strike me that there's a description in Jaiva Dharma how this person, hardcore Mayavadi, he saw Vaishnava passing in the road, and this Vaishnava was just blissed off, in a ecstasy that, and it was so powerful. It had such a powerful impact on that Mayavadi, that impersonalist, that he's saying, nah, this thing, what, I doing this is rubbish. I want to know what he experiencing. And he went and, he started to pursue inquiry into the Vaishnava philosophy and so on, So, but that was an impressive piece of description, that when he see a Vaishnava, and that created such an impression in his mind, So it's like really sometimes when you really see some advanced Vaishnava, and it's like I mean sometimes like I at least seen a person like say like Bhakti Charu Swami, that will be like like a born sadhu, somebody who has like a real sadhu bhav. And another one is, I don't know how much of you know Bhakti Rasamrita Swami, but Bhakti Rasamrita Swami is like, I don't know, he is like such a sadhu, He saw me after many, many years. When he came to Trinidad, we met and so on. But we met in Mayapur after many years. And he come and he embraced me and Rajarshi Prabhu, you are here. And that was like, I thought, well, years ago, yeah, he going to remember me. But and his embrace was like bliss, it was like such a, you know, like somebody from out of this world. So sometimes you meet somebody, some people, and they really like the embodiment of some sadhu. So when this impersonalist saw this sadhu, this Vaishnava, it's had such a impact. And I think sometime coming up soon will be Guru Purnima. I seemed to while glancing in the calendar, I saw it. And that Vyas Purnima, there's a lot in Brindavan about Sanatan Goswami, how the residents of Brindavan, how Sanatan was like the guru. Now, Srinivasacharya in his song, yes, he say, Dhira Dhira Jana Priya Karo, that they were dear to the gentle and the ruffians, everybody. If people have some quarrel or they have some problem, they'll go to Sanatan and say, Baba, anything you say, we go accept that. And like that's the kind of approach. So Sanatan had such a guru reputation in Brindavan. If you're in Brindavan, you'll hear people, talk about the importance of, So we're talking about the impact of Vaishnava on people, and like this just bringing to mind a story that Prabhupada recently I heard him telling it, but it is in science of self-realization. Yeah, a very sweet little story about Rupa used to Sanatan was his elder brother, so Rupa used to consider him guru also. So Rupa, they used to live separately under different trees, different places in Vrindavan. So Rupa thought, poor, poor man, they can't. But if if it was possible, if I, get access to some nice food, boga and thing, or to really cook up a nice feast and, really invite, Sanatan for prasadam and thing. So he taught like that, and a little later, this beautiful girl, young girl, came and brought all kind of opulent milk and ghee and grains and all kind of nice things. And said, Baba, we had a prayers and my mother, send these things for you. And, Rupa said, oh, God, Chai, I was thinking and look, some nice things come. So he cook up a nice feast. They say he was a real great cook, Rupa. He cook up a nice feast and he invite Sanatan to come. And Sanatan see feast so all kind of paneer and this. He said, Baba, you living in the forest here. Where you get all this opulent, all these things to cook feast like this? He said, oh, a girl came and they had some prayers and thing. What is that? Prayers? Don't try that, Nothing take place in Braja here that I don't know. Yeah, no prayers. Come good. Where you get this thing from? Yeah, telling you the truth. This nice pretty girl came and said they had some work and she bring all them things. And Sanatan Holy said, he said, Baba, we trying to do some savor to Radharani. You taking service from Radharani. Radharani had come and brought all these things. So anyway, that's just, I was just making the point about how, these Goswamis, they were so, yeah, people were so, had so much faith and in them. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Anyway, all that is Krishna Katha. So what we could do is it getting late, Braja Leela could do a Chaitanya Bhajan. Maybe she could do Parama Karuna. I think maybe, let me see, Paramataji Shrupa left. So, Braja Leela, start off with some Parama Karuna.
Hare Krishna. Could the Prabhu just bring it up on the screen, please?
Damodar Prabhu, you're trying, right? You're trying to get?
Yes, Prabhu. Sorry, yes. It's on the screen now, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Parama Karuna Pahudui Jana Nitai Gaurachandra
Parama Karuna Pahudvijana Nitai Gaurachandra
Sabhavatar Sarashiromani Kevalananda Kanda
Sabhavatara Sarasiromani Kevala Anandakanda
Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrida Vishwasa Kori
Bajo Bajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrida Bishwasa Kori
Vishaya Chariya Serase Majiya Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari.
Vishaya Chadiya Serase Majia Muke Bolo Hari Hari.
Dekho re bhai Tribhuvane nai Emona doyala data.
Dekho re bhai Tribhuvanena Emuna doyala data.
Pashupaki jure pasana vidare Nijara gunagata.
Pashupakhi jure Pashana vidare Shuni Janra Gunagatha.
Samsare Majia Rohili Poria Sepadena Hilo Asha.
Samsari Majia Purile Puria Separane Hule Asha.
Apana karama Punjae Shamana Kahoelo Chanadasa.
Apana Karama Punjaye Shamana Kaho Elochana Dasa.
Paramakaruna Paudwijana Nitai Gaurachandra.
Paramakaruna Pahudui Jana Nitai Gaurachandra.
Sabhavatar Sarashiromani Kevala Nandakanda.
Avatar Sarashiromani Kevalananda Kanda.
Bhajo Bhajo Bhai Chaitanya Nitai Sudrida Vishwasa Kori.
Bajo Bajo Bai Chaitanya Nitai Shudrida Viswasa Kori.
Vishaya Chadiya Serase Majia Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari.
Visaya Chadiya Sirasa Majia Mukhe Bolo Hari Hari.
Dekho re bhai Tribhuvane nai Emona doyala data.
Dekho re bhai Tribhuvane nai Emona doyala data.
Pashupaki jure Pasana vidare Suni Janra Gunagata.
Pashupaki jure Pashana vidare Suni Chandra Gunagata.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So we can do the translation now. So Avinash Prabhu, you can start. And
Yes,
then followed by Jivan.
Hare Krishna. The two lords, Nityanand Gaurachandra, are very merciful. They are the essence of all incarnations, the specific significance of these incarnations is that they introduce a process of chanting and dancing that is simply joyful. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Angamaraj and then Jivan. Okay, if Angamaraj is not there, Jivan, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Okay, go ahead, Prabhu.
2. My dear brother, I request that you just worship Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda with firm conviction and faith. If one wants to be Krishna conscious by this process, one has to give up his engagement in sense gratification. One simply has to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, without any motive. Hare Krishna. Thank you, sir.
3. My dear brother, just try and examine this. Within the 3 world, there is no one like Lord Chaitanya, O Lord Nityananda. Their merciful qualities are so great that upon hearing them, even birds and beasts cry and stones melt. Hare Krishna.
Anyone who didn't sing would like to read this last verse?
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Prabhu. Yes.
But Lochana Dasa regrets that I am entrapped by sense gratification. Since I have no attraction for the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, then Yamraj, the superintendent of death, is punishing me by not allowing me to be attracted by this movement. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, we could do one more. You could bring up Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya Karo More.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhu, it's on the screen now.
Try, okay, I'll do this. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, Daya Karo More. Tuma bina ke dayalu Jagat Sansari.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Doya Koro More Toma Bina Ke Doyalu Jagat Samsari.
Patita Pavana Hetu Tava Avatar Musama Patita Prabhu Na Paibeyar.
Patita pavana hetu tava avatar. Musama patita prabhu napaibeyar.
Ah Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripambalokana Koro Ami Borodokhi.
Taha Prabhu Nityananda Premananda Sukhi Kripabalokana Kuru Ami Borodu.
Daya Karo Sita Pati Advaita Gosai Tava Kripa Balepai Chaitanya Nitai.
Doya Korosita Pati Advaita Gosai Tava kripa bale pai, Chaitanya nitai.
6. Swarup sanatana Rupa Raghunata Ata Juga Shri Jiva Prabhu Lokanata.
Aha Swarupa Sanatana Rupa Raghunata Bhatta Yoga Sri Jiva Hai Prabhu Lokanata.
Daya Karo Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramchandra Sangamage Narottamadas.
Doya Kor Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivas Ramachandra Sangamake Narottamadas.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. To Damodar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare.
Next two persons, I see Kamal and Avinash, then Deepa and Hari Prada.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,